There is a story that I love to share, and I've shared it on occasion. So if you have heard it, I ask that you indulge me again. And unlike some of the stories that I share, this one is actually true and about a person who has actually existed. It is about the great Rabbi Abraham Cook, and he lived in Israel before it became a state. And he used to walk the streets, and he was known for being incredibly gregarious and generous. And no matter who he passed, he would treat them with the greeting, Shalom Aleichem, peace be with you. And he was once asked, how is it that you can treat everyone equally and with love? And he answered by first explaining that it was said that both temples in ancient history were destroyed because of a sin known as sinat chinam, baseless hate, hating without reason, without knowing why we are doing it, with being told that we should hate because of fear or doubt, but not really understanding the reasons for our hatred. And he said if we were going to be true pursuers of peace, we needed to live by a new mitzvah. We needed to live by ahavat chinam, baseless love. We needed to live our lives by loving everyone, whether or not we knew they deserved it, whether or not we disagreed or agreed with them, whether or not we liked or disliked them. That the only path to peace was ahavat chinam, baseless love. These past 10 days, since the murder of George Floyd on May 25th, have been difficult and emotional for our country. And just 2 nights ago, I had the honor of helping to facilitate a session for a leadership class through the Anti-Defamation League. Ironically enough, all along, the session had been scheduled to be one on civil rights. But with recent events, we decided to abandon what the session had been planned to be and instead to create a safe and sacred space for the participants in this class to share their feelings and their thoughts about what was happening in our world and about the systematic racism that led to these events. It was an incredibly respectful and honest conversation amongst a cohort of people who had grown to love and respect each other. We began the conversation by asking participants to, in the chat box, write 3 words about how they were feeling. And as you might imagine, words like anger and frustration and sad and helpless filled that box. But what might be more surprising is words like optimistic and hopeful also filled that box. And as we ended our evening, a young man who participates in the class, who happens to be African American, referred back to those words with which we began our evening. And he said, I noticed how much negativity there was in the emotions that were expressed this evening. Fear, anxiety, shame, guilt, anger, sadness, helplessness. But I was also glad to see some hope and some optimism. His words had been, I feel optimistic. He said, I feel optimistic because I understand that there is more that unites us than divides us. And if we can all remember that, we can hold hands and we can walk together and we can work together for something better. So I hold those words in my heart and I ask that we hold hands and we walk together and we work together for something better. for Sinat Chinam, for a world filled with baseless love. Wishing you an early Shabbat Shalom.